Alright guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be painting a pair of turf shoes I recently got. I'm going to be giving you a full in-depth tutorial as far as how to make stencils and everything like that. If you'd like to see a full cleat painting video, click right here and that'll take you to another video I did. Today it's just going to be a small customization that I've done and I may take you along on the journey. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay guys, so today I'm just going to be painting the Nike swooshes and possibly back of these turf shoes. What I've done is I've gotten the lettering that I want, so I went on to Word and I typed it in, found the right size, font, and then I printed it out. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is make our stencils. To do that, we're going to use a hard surface. I'm using a cutting board, and you're going to get your painter's tape and just lay out a piece on top of the surface. Then get your first piece of paper that you're going to be using as your stencil and cut around the lettering, the image, or whatever it is that you're using. So now that you have it, your image or your lettering cut out, you're going to lay it on top of that piece of tape that you just laid down. Then we're going to secure it by getting two other pieces of tape and just taping it down. Make sure that you're over top and somewhat in the center of the piece of tape underneath. When we put down our second piece of tape, we're going to make sure that it's nice and smooth. You don't want any bubbles or creases. So now that you have your stencil laid down, it should look something like this. So you have your stencil, and then underneath it a blue piece of tape or painter's tape. You're going to get your razor blade or X-Acto knife and start cutting out your shape. So I'm going to be cutting out all of the black here, and then I'm going to save everything that's like in the O, the B, and the R, because it's a negative and positive stencil. Get started, cut this out, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So I just finished my stencil, and this is what it looks like. Everything underneath is just a piece of tape, and it's going to look just like what's in the white here. And that's going to be stuck onto the Nike swoosh. And everything where the O and the B and the R, all that's missing, I made sure to save it, and I cut it out, and it's hard to see, but all these little pieces right here, here, and there, those are going to be laid back on top after you lay down the stencil. So now it's time to go and prep the shoe. Then we're going to put the stencil on it, and then it'll be time to paint. Alright, now that we have one of our stencils done, we're going to get some acetone and prep the cleats. So what you're going to do is get some acetone, get your Q-tips, cotton balls, paper towel, put the acetone on there, and then we're going to rub on the parts of the cleats that we want to paint. All that this does is remove the factory finish. This is a very important step as far as making your paint job last. Scrub really hard, remove it, do this in a well ventilated area. I'm going to do it outside right here because the fumes from this acetone are kind of bad for you. The leather may get a little tacky, but that's fine. Alright, so I just prepped the shoe. Now it's time to remove the stencil and apply it on. As you can see, here's the stencil, and this is now going to be put onto the Nike swoosh. Carefully line it up where we want it to go, and then lay it down. Make sure that you press around, crease along all of your edges. This is what the shoe looks like with the stencil. Now we're going to get all of our little pieces that we saved. All my stencils are complete. Here's the Tekker's side. All this tape around it is to prevent overspray. And here is the Rob FC side. There's still some parts of the cleats that are exposed to overspray. So what I'm going to do is I cut off a piece of paper here from the other stencil, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of tuck it in like this. So now it's time to hook up the airbrush and let's get to painting. Now it's time to paint. I'm going to be using Angelus paint. Links will be in the description below. I used this on my previous cleat painting video and this paint did a very good job. I'm just going to pour some into this little container. And that should be more than enough right here. Then I'm going to get the airbrush thinner. And all I'm going to do is put in a few drops. You want this to be like the consistency of milk. Stir it up. And then from here I'm going to add more if I need to add more. I need a little bit more thinner here. Yeah. So this is a pretty good consistency right here, so if I pour some, it kind of flows back in, so this is what you want right here. Okay, so we just turned on our air compressor. Everything's good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab our mixed up paint and I'm just going to put a little bit into our airbrush here. It's always a good idea to get a piece of paper and test it out on. Everything's looking good to go, so we're gonna start. We're gonna do nice thin layers. First coat's almost just gonna be like a mist, so don't go too heavy. And flip our cleats around, we're gonna do the other side. Okay, gonna let that dry, come back to it in a second, and then we're gonna apply our second coat. You just saw the first coat get put on, time for a second coat. Just gonna test again. Alright, so as you can see, the first coat was a nice mist. So now we're going to go back and make that a little bit darker. Once the paint has a matte finish and it's not very shiny anymore, that means it's time to put on another coat. Now that our paint has dried, it's time to remove the stencils. So be sure to carefully remove all the tape around it. Alright guys, now it's time to put on the protective coat. So I've removed all my masking and I put on new masking. This masking doesn't have to be as perfect because we're going to be covering the whole square. We want some overlap of this finish. So what I've done is I went ahead and I cleaned out my airbrush. The best thing to use for cleaning out your airbrush is glass cleaner, but without the ammonia. Because the ammonia is bad for the bronze tip in your airbrush and it's not good to breathe in. So I've gone ahead and cleaned that out, put in this finisher, and now I'm just going to spray on 1 or 2 light coats. Okay, the protective coat has been applied. So this is what my cleats look like, or my turf shoes look like now that I'm done. One side I have Techers, the other side I have Rob FC, which is a legendary club, guys. So I decided I want to paint the back of my cleats too. I'm going to paint a lime green. And then I'm going to follow the exact same painting process as I showed you before, except for there's going to be no stencils, just me masking off the parts I don't want painted. Alright guys, I'm up here in my room. It's been a day now and the cleats have fully dried. Here's what they look like now that they're completely done. Got lettering. And then I went with black in the back instead of the green. And then we have the other lettering. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section down below. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time guys, peace!